My name is Cincotta, and I want to talk to you about 5 ways to use light to shape your style. Look, at the end of the day, all of us need light. As professional photographers, amateur photographers, wannabe photographers, lighting is going to shape your style. And there's a multitude of ways to do it, okay? So you can use natural light, you can use reflectors, you can use speed lights. And for those of you out there who are just overly intimidated with the use of artificial light, I'm telling you, just get over it. Get out there and practice. And so here are 5 tips for you to be able to use light to shape your style. And before I get going on this, why is it so important that we use light to shape our style? If you want to stand out from the crowd, lighting is the best way to do it. If you look at some of the most incredible artists out there, and by the way, it doesn't have to be just photography. It can be cinema, they can be painters. They're using light to shape. That shape becomes your signature style. And that's the part I want to impress upon you, right? There's no one size fits all when it comes to lighting. And I think that's a misnomer within our industry, is that how does so-and-so do it? Doesn't matter how so-and-so does it. There's the basics, the foundation of what lighting is: Rembrandt lighting, loop lighting, butterfly lighting. You have to learn those, okay? But once you learn those, you have to now put your spin and slant on it. So let's talk about 5 ways you can do that. So the first way is understanding that there is no substitute for speed. Check this out. If you're a commercial photographer, you are typically going to take hours to set up lighting for a given campaign, or if you're working for a client. You've got that time, that ability. Hey, take it. But if you're a wedding photographer and a portrait photographer or a baby photographer, you know what you don't have? Time. You have to get to your shot quickly and efficiently. That is probably the most important thing to remember. Speed, speed, speed. And so how do you get there? How do you get to speed? Practice. You've got to get out there and practice. And if it sounds like we're running a sports team, we kind of are. I would rather be quicker than 100% accurate. And maybe that's going to offend some of you, but that's reality. So if you want to be a purist and think that you're going to get to 100% on a shot, you've never worked a real event. At a real event, a wedding, my bride and groom are not going to stand out there waiting for me to get the light just perfect, right? I cannot work in these conditions. Nobody gives a shit. At the end of the day, they want their shot and they want it to look good. Perfection is not going to come on a wedding day. You're a baby photographer, you know what you don't have? Time. You've got to get the shot. So you've got to learn how to get there to your style and get there quickly. I cannot stress that enough. Second thing I want you to do, practice new techniques. Off-camera flash, or artificial lighting in general, is probably one of the most intimidating aspects of professional photography. Now, the professional photographers out there are probably like, good, we want to intimidate all those moms with cameras. And all the moms with cameras, they're just producing natural light because they don't understand how to use a secondary light source or an alternate light source. Okay? You've got to just get out there and practice. I promise you, it's not as intimidating as you may think. And for the record, when I'm talking about practice, I'm not just talking about the newbie out there. I'm talking about you as that seasoned professional. I'm in this 10 years now as a professional photographer, meaning I've earned my living off professional photography. After 10 years, I'm still practicing, trying new techniques, trying to learn, trying to push myself. And so my style has evolved from 10 years ago to today, and that is all tied to practicing new techniques. I don't necessarily practice them on clients. I go out there and I practice them on a dummy, on a can of soda, on a model, right? On somebody who in my studio that I can ask, hey, do me a favor, just stand there, okay? Because then there's less pressure. But it's so important that you get out there and practice these new techniques. Number 3, to modify or not modify. Remember, we're talking about ways to use lighting that is going to shape your style. Light modifiers are yet another tool in your arsenal. We're talking about things like snoots, beauty dishes, soft boxes, umbrellas. How do you know what your look is if you don't get out there and practice it? Again, remember, there is no one size fits all when it comes to modifiers. Look, and if you're a photographer, you understand what I'm talking about. It's like a giant toy box. If you could see my camera room, there's nothing but toys in it. And now I have to figure out how to make money with all those toys that we've invested in. And so, beauty dish, do you go with a silver or a white beauty dish? Well, guess what? The white one's going to be a lot softer. The silver one's going to have a harder edge, right? More contrasting, more punch. These are things that are going to define your style. Soft boxes, bigger that soft box, the bigger that light source, the softer that light's going to be on them. Do you want a hard light or a soft light? How do you know if you don't get out there and practice? And by the way, that leads me to number 4, the right tool for the job. What is the right tool for the job? Is it a speed light? Is it a B1, Profoto B1? Is it a Profoto B2? Is it an ice light? I get asked these questions all the time. Sal, do you use the B1 or the B2 or a speed light? Yes to all of that, because it's about having the right tool for the job. In my arsenal, in my trunk of my car, if we're on a job, all my lights are there. Not every modifier I have, not every single light I have, but I have access to everything I think I'm gonna need on a given job. And that's everything from an ice light from Westcott to a speed light from Canon to a Profoto B1 or B2, because I never know what I'm gonna need. But the worst part for any of us, any artist, would be to be at a job site, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a senior or a baby, and not have the tools or equipment to create the image that we see in our heads. That's where you've got to figure out what modifiers do you want in your arsenal. But again, it comes back to practicing. And finally, number 5, go for the dramatic. When it comes to lighting, yes, I understand all the basic lighting setups. I've tried them, I practice them, whether it's a ring light, whether it's a beauty dish, whether it's a softbox, whether it's a speed light, whether it's a snoot. And through all of that, I've come up with my own style. I think, okay, if you want to stand out from the crowd, you've got to search for dramatic lighting. What does dramatic lighting mean? Well, to me, my definition of dramatic lighting is a hard-edged light. That is what stands out in my style of photography. It's what makes my work and portfolio unique. My clients see it, they recognize it immediately. What could be better, if you're going to introduce lighting and you want to stand out from the crowd, what could be better than a client seeing your image and knowing that that's a Sal Cincotta shot, right? Or whatever your studio name is, shot. That is branding at its best. That's what you're searching for. That's why you want to use light to shape and define your style. So I hope you learned a little bit about lighting and how I use it. The technical aspect, I think, is out there. You can find tons of articles on it, but understanding the how and why behind it, I think, is extremely important. So get out there, put those 5 tips to work. If you enjoyed this article and want to learn more about lighting this month, check out behindtheshutter.com for a ton of free resources.